Many people have come to New Orleans and done a documentary on Hurricane Katrina, our lives after Hurricane Katrina. However, no one has done a documentary on us, me, myself, a small business owner, a construction company owner. Please listen to my voice, my documentary, as a struggling small business contractor in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. I purchased 2 square blocks, which was 41 lots from the city of New Orleans, April 5th, 2004. I was forced to sell this property by my lender, a well-known, high-powered trial lawyer in the city of New Orleans, because I refused to allow one of his clients, who owned a construction company, to build the houses on the said lots I had purchased. He threatened to ruin me financially. He threatened to ruin my name. He threatened to ruin my business. He threatened to ruin my reputation. Once Hurricane Katrina hit, I became a debris removal contractor once Katrina hit landfall. I was informed by a first-tier subcontractor out of Slidell, Louisiana. In order for him to sign a contract with myself or my company, I had to have workman's comp insurance and general liability insurance. In order to get my workman's comp insurance and my general liability insurance, I had to put down a $50,000 deposit for workman's comp to a company based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I also had to put down $24,000 in deposit to a local insurance agency in order to get general liability insurance. So prior to receiving any contract, signing any contract after Hurricane Katrina's devastation and losing everything I had as a businessman, I had to put down a deposit of $74,000 before I could make a dime. The Slidell company was paying me, my company at the time was Affordable Trucking Contractors, LLC, $6.50 per cubic yard to pick up and haul away and dispose of construction debris. At the same time, my out-of-town peers or counterparts or debris removal contractors were being paid significantly more than I was being paid. I became very vocal and complained that I was being given very little debris to remove in a bad zone on a daily basis. I was not collecting enough debris and being paid enough to even cover my labor costs on a daily basis. My employees had to chase our fellow homeowners coming home to gut their houses out to get a day's work, and that way I can give them a day's pay. However, this Slidell company was paying me when they got paid on a weekly basis. I became very vocal because I felt that even a Slidell company and a company that had the $500 million contract, the prime contractor, didn't have to bid on the contract, didn't lose a shingle. The owners, the workers didn't lose a single shingle off their house, but they were making all the money from and off our devastation, native New Orleanians. Later it was brought to my attention that another contractor performing the same exact services I was performing was being paid $12 a cubic yard. I threatened to present my contract to the New Orleans City Council to practice the transparency that everyone talked about. And I challenged every other contractor to do the same. I wanted to be assured that we all were playing on the same level field of survival after such devastation. The $500 million prime contractor, the son of, well, one of the sons of one of the owners, it was owned by 2 cousins, and their 2 sons was running his operation, called me into their New Orleans office and asked me what will it take for me to shut my mouth. He also told me that running my mouth about their company and bad-mouthing their company would get me nowhere. I told him if it wasn't getting me anywhere, why did he call me into his office along with his cousin to try to get me to shut my mouth? Why did he worry about me bad-mouthing their father business? I asked him to allow me to put more crews on so I can help put my fellow New Orleanians back to work so we can continue to rebuild our lives. While in the meeting, one of them asked me, can he be honest and take off our business caps? I said, sure, go right ahead. He went on to say that they didn't have to respect us as black people because we had strength in numbers, and all of our numbers had evacuated. He also went on to say that they didn't have to respect us because our director of sanitation was a former hairstylist who didn't know what the fuck she was doing about disaster recovery. This company allowed me to put on additional crews. Once the word got to the slugger company I was subbing under, they terminated my contract. They said they no longer wanted or needed my services. Then the prime contractor put me under another company based out of Mississippi. They hired me the same day. They bumped me up $3 a cubic yard to $9.50 a cubic yard. I complained to them. I complained that I had found out that another contractor from out of Louisiana was making $12 a cubic yard, performing the same scope of services that I was performing. They increased my pay per cubic yard to $12. I began to complain again because the check that they wrote to me was written on a Mississippi bank. That did not sit well with me when the banks of Louisiana and in New Orleans were suffering and had lost their customer base. A few weeks later, I got called in by this prime contractor. They told me I had been terminated for 32 safety violations. The violations consisted of no gloves being worn while picking up debris. My workers did not wear their gloves their eyewear in the work zone. But at the same time, not one of my supervisors had been informed, warned, or had received in writing any warnings about these violations, these accused violations, which I denied. So I went to the Army Corps of Engineers, who hired these two $500 million prime contractors. I asked, who can I speak to? I went to the Hyatt Regency Hotel on Poydras Street. They sent me to Baton Rouge, where I met this nice elder lady who was chief of contractor. She went on to tell me that it was a misfortune of what I had experienced, but she had a perfect fit for me. The other $500 million contractor, prime contractor, they were very diversified. And without hesitation, I scheduled a meeting with their chief operating officer. I convinced him to give me an opportunity to put on a crew. He went on and told me, he said, Russell, you will probably make $200, $300 with us. I'll give you a shot. 12 months later, I had grossed over $6 million in fees from this company. We did so well that they nominated us for the United States Small Business Administration Contractor of the Year, Small Business of the Year award, based on our performance. In my opinion, we were their very best prime subcontractor. My executed contract with this other prime contractor allowed them to pay me when they got paid. They paid me on an average of 55 days. I had to pay my people weekly. I had to pay them well in order to keep them working, because we had lost everything and we were trying to rebuild our lives at a high expense. This $6 million cost me $367,000 in interest, in fees. And it was all due to being paid on an average of 55 days. But I don't think they were paid every 55 days. I'm sure the Army Corps paid them the same as they paid their counterpart on a weekly basis. Once the city let their first debris removal contract, it went to a non-responsive startup company out of Houston, Texas. The company from Houston was not responsible because they did not complete the bid form properly. They were allowed to adjust their numbers and their information on the bid form. They did not complete the city's mandatory tax clearance form. They did not execute a mandatory Louisiana resident contractor prior to signing the contract. I protested this bid in a formal protest with the City of New Orleans. I submitted a formal public record request to review the said contract within 72 hours. However, the city didn't allow me to. The City of New Orleans legal department did not allow me to review the file or look at the contract until 18 months later. It is now approaching Hurricane Katrina, and my company holds, like I say, license in building construction, demolition, asbestos abatement and removal, lead-based paint abatement and removal, heavy construction, highway, street, and bridge construction. But all I'm being hired to do is haul crushed concrete and sand for the New Orleans native large contractors. They only hired me to meet their disadvantaged business enterprise, DBE enterprise goals and quotas. They reimburse me for the aggregate I purchased for them. I'm only a pass-through to them and for them. Therefore, I'm literally their purchasing agent. This past month, a company from Detroit, Michigan, has been demolishing and replacing all sidewalks within a 2 square mile radius around my neighborhood. This out-of-state company even demolished and replaced the sidewalks directly across the street from my house, my primary residence. I pay property taxes on 4 pieces of property I own in the City of New Orleans. Up until May 4, 2005, I paid property tax on 42 pieces of property in the City of New Orleans. It's unfortunate I can't get a single contract tearing up and replacing the sidewalks in the same block I live in. Our dollars have been, and our dollars still are, the recovery dollars, still are going to, being paid to out-of-town companies who make the money and take it back out of town. I can't bid on a contract that I want to bid on because I do not have a track record of performing the work I would like to bid. I can't obtain a bid because I do not have a track record. I can't build a track record because the majority of the work has been and still is going to out-of-town companies. Here, 5 years later, contracts are still being awarded to out-of-town companies in the City of New Orleans. I've gotten one bind that was collateralized by the guy who owned the company that loaned me the money and made $367,000 in fees off me. However, the catch was I had to sign over, I had to assign him 66% of my contract in order for him to collateralize my bond. I'm just as angry as the young black men in New Orleans with the black on black crime, the black on black killing. I just thank God I have more mental capacity, which prevents me from erupting emotionally. I'm Russell Kelly. I'm the president and CEO, owner of ATCO Services, LLC. I admire and I respect you. Thank you.